WhatCulture.
Anyone over the age of 30 will perhaps find it difficult to comprehend that there now exists a whole generation of kids and young adults who have no idea that Sega, the Sonic guys, were once a massive player in the home console market, giving the big N a run for their money and paving the way for Xbox and PlayStation in the process. Ultimately, however, Sega's home console business became a victim of its own innovation, and their desire to push the envelope and break the mold saw the once mighty gaming powerhouse bow out of the console market altogether. However, the rumours of Sega's demise were greatly exaggerated, and far from fading away into obscurity, Sega decided to double down on software development. Slowly but surely, they managed to not only consolidate their position, but to thrive, and the company are now entering something of a renaissance with a future potentially as bright as its past. But how did this happen, I hear you ask? Well, let's find out. My name is Rich, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming, and this is the rise and fall and rise again of Sega. The best place to start, shock horror, is at the beginning of Sega's first meaningful foray into the home console market with the 8-bit Master System and 16-bit Mega Drive or Genesis in the USA. Until this point, Sega was best known for their arcade cabinets, which to this day continue to suck change out of our collective pockets. For this very reason, Sega's whole mission statement when entering the home console market was, insofar as was possible with the hardware available, to bring this arcade experience into the living room. Released as a foil to Nintendo's NES console, which was absolutely smashing it globally at the time, the Master System burst onto US and European shelves in 1986 and 1987 respectively, two very different fortunes. The Master System itself was a perfectly playable, fun system which delivered on the promise of bringing home Sega's flagship arcade titles with as much authenticity as could be churned out of the 8-bit architecture. Though it could not, perhaps unsurprisingly, topple Nintendo from their lofty position and struggle both badly in Japan and the USA, with only about 3 million units sold in total between these two territories, despite a much more encouraging 7 million units sold in Europe. It was with the release of the 16-bit Mega Drive, however, that Sega really came into their own. Released between 1988 and 1990 in various parts of the world, the Mega Drive was a huge success for Sega, selling almost 31 million units during its lifetime and fared particularly well in North America and the UK. Aside from the blast processing power the system had under the hood, not to mention the tongue-in-cheek Genesis does what Nintendidn't advertising campaign, the main thing the Mega Drive had over the Master System and allowed it to ultimately take a sizable chunk of the market away from Nintendo was a certain blue hedgehog. It would not be overstating things to say that Sega and Sonic the Hedgehog are one and the same entity in the public consciousness, arguably as synonymous as Nintendo and Mario. This was massively important for Sega, as side-scrolling mascot games were as in vogue in the late 80s and early 90s as Battle Royale titles are today, and Mario's reign was virtually unchanged until Sonic came along. Sega vs Nintendo and Sonic vs Mario were battle lines drawn in the sand, or just with chalk across playgrounds and classrooms for generations of kids. You were either one or the other, blue or red, hedgehog lover or plumbing enthusiast, and your reputation would live or die by your choice. Sound familiar, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 players? The console wars of the 90s are now the stuff of legend, so it would not do to dwell on this period for longer than is necessary right here. The next major battle Sega had on its hands was not to be fought in 16 bits, but in 32. Sega released multiple add-on peripherals in a bid to extend the life of the Mega Drive, including the Sega CD and the 32X, both designed to offer superior gaming experiences than the standard Mega Drive, in lieu of a true 32-bit system. Both fared pretty poorly, and the 32X is now a pretty rare collector's piece, such is its inherent strangeness. But it didn't take too long, however, for Sega to release a dedicated 32-bit system, with 1995 seeing the release of the Sega Saturn. By this point, the home console market had opened up significantly, with the likes of the Panasonic 3DO, the Atari Jaguar, and of course a little thing called the PlayStation, all vying for gamers' attention in the mid to late 90s. The Saturn actually went on to become Sega's best-selling system in Japan, but endured poor sales in the UK and the US due to, in no small part, to its comparatively high price when placed alongside Sony's debut machine. The Saturn did, however, showcase some excellent games and definitely has a place in the hearts of fans. Titles like Panzer Dragoon Saga, Sega Rally Championship, Virtua Fighter 2, and Nights into Dreams certainly stood to demonstrate what the system was truly capable of. Fast forward to 1999 and the world bore witness to what would ultimately be Sega's farewell to the home console market, and what a way to go, the Dreamcast. Having sold just over 9 million units and a criminally short lifespan of around 2 years, the Dreamcast is widely viewed as a colossal failure. With hindsight, however, the general consensus seems to be the system was just years ahead of its time and was perhaps too far innovative for its own good. Take, for example, the Dreamcast's online functionality. The whole idea of online play using home consoles was practically unheard of in Dreamcast's day, let alone the no-nonsense, absolutely functional experience offered by Sega's misunderstood system. Titles such as Phantasy Star Online, Choo Choo Rocket, and Quake 3 Arena all made excellent use of the console's online capabilities without ever kicking up a fuss and shouting about it. It just worked. In the end though, money talks, and Sega took the decision to bow out of the home console market altogether, putting an end to almost 20 years worth of fantastic systems and creating a gap in which Microsoft's Xbox was more than willing to fill. With the focus turned irrevocably away from hardware, Sega's mission was now to concentrate on the development of software in a second and third party capacity. This strategy, to their credit, worked out very well, with Sega going on to develop and publish games for virtually all platforms in the years which followed the demise of their own systems. Indeed, titles and franchises like Bayonetta, Panzer Dragoon, Yakuza, and of course, Aliens Colonial Marines all bear the Sega stamp and are very much alive and well today. Maybe not Colonial Marines. In a move that would have blown the minds of gamers in the 90s, Sega even went as far as to allow their mortal enemy Nintendo access to their blue spiky figurehead, with Sonic and friends appearing in the likes of Super Smash Bros. And Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. A seemingly shocking decision, but one that seems to make absolute sense. But what of the future? Sega are in a good place right now and are widely expected to go from strength to strength as we roll into the 20s. Recent years have seen Sega dust off and reintroduce much of their amazing back catalogue to new generations of gamers, while simultaneously tugging at the nostalgia strings of older players. From the Sega Mega Drive Classics collection hitting current gen systems, to the Mega Drive Mini successfully riding the mini console wave kicked up by Nintendo, Sega have realised the value of the treasure they so comfortably sit atop. Such is the current momentum of Sega that industry insiders and gamers alike seem to genuinely expect the company to announce a shock return to the home console market after it had promised a big announcement as part of its 60th anniversary celebrations. Ultimately, this huge announcement proved to be the release of the Game Gear Micro, much to the chagrin and confusion of fans around the globe. Still, that the announcement of a tiny handheld system as opposed to a full console was seen as a disappointment surely speaks volumes about Sega's current trajectory. Arguably the single most significant catalyst behind the current Sega revival, however, was something created not by the gaming giants themselves, but by the fans: 2017's Sonic Mania. When lead developer Christian Whitehead approached Sonic team producer Takashi Iizuka with a playable work-in-progress build of the game, the green light was given to develop what was a secret passion project into a full-blown game that Sega themselves would publish. The game hit shelves in 2017 to rave reviews, with fans and critics alike praising the game as a return to the classic beloved Sonic formula, which steered clear of the problems which had so badly plagued 3D titles like Sonic Boom and Sonic Unleashed. With Sonic well and truly back on the table, the plans to bring the blue blur to the silver screen started to look less bizarre, and the 2020 release of Sonic the Hedgehog's movie was actually surprisingly brilliant. And a sequel is already in the works, which is great news. Seriously, go and see Sonic the Hedgehog, it is really not as bad as you might think. So what does the future hold for Sega? Well, that's the real question, isn't it? If 2020 has taught us anything, it's the nature of unpredictability. However, having witnessed the rise of the gaming giant, watch it challenge Mario and Co for the crown, having looked on intrigued as the hardware creators made bold and innovative decisions upon their systems, which lived and eventually died, it is truly difficult to predict what this great company will do next. One statistic that may be difficult to wrap our collective heads around right now is the fact that Sega are actually more profitable today than they were in the big console heyday, and are particularly, to borrow a famous phrase, big in Japan. Entire arcades and gaming centers are given over to the homegrown company, with many such attractions pulling in thousands upon thousands of visitors every week. Whilst the Western experience is undoubtedly different, Sega never really went away in Japan. So whilst nobody knows for certain what's up next for the Japanese giants, one thing we can say for sure is that we definitely haven't seen the last of Sega. And if the rumors prove to be true and they really are working on a new console, then fans around the world will be hoping that Sega can get it onto the market as soon as humanly possible. Gotta go fast, right? And that is the rise and fall and rise again of Sega. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to WhatCulture Gaming if you haven't already. I have been Rich. You can follow me on Twitter at PickupChangeToe. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.